because you feel inspired. You feel like you're unstoppable. Like there's this energy that you cannot replicate any other way, because you know if you're going to get to do that today, that is the most magical thing you can do. You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 270. And today we're starting a 3-part series, and I'm going to help you activate, monetize, and amplify your unique business superpower. I hope you're ready for this. Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's your host, Melanie Benson, authority amplifier to expert-based business owners. And today's episode is going to kick off something unique. I'm going to do a 3-part series on business superpowers. Now, let me give you a little background. The reason why I am unpacking this in this way is it's way too much for one episode. And I have been getting a lot of questions from members of my Amplify Your Authority Facebook group, and even clients who, when they start working with me, they are interested in really tapping into this 7-step framework that I teach that helps you get booked on more stages, attract more high-quality leads, and to transform them into high-ticket clients. And this is like an exciting framework. It's something that I've been doing for many years, and I realized it's not quite obvious, and it's probably one of my superpowers. So as I was starting to help people unpack this in the Facebook group, one of the questions that kept coming up is, well, like, how do we know what to really focus on? What is the superpower or the part of our brand or the part of our offering that we should really pivot this framework around? And I realized that not everybody really understands and has been able to focus on their true superpower. It's very easy to get caught up in a lot of bright, shiny objects, right? So I'm going to unpack this in 3 stages. First, we're going to talk about uncovering and activating your dormant business superpower, because I found that it doesn't matter whether you're new in business or you've been in business a while. Your superpower can get shrouded by the shoulds. Like, you can have so many things that start to cloud your vision and get you distracted from the thing that you're really, like, you really shine. It makes you magnetic. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And if you're newer, you may have to do some exploration work to see how the market responds. And this is the stage of part 2 that we'll do, which is monetizing and amplifying in part 3. So there are stages to this that, depending on where you are in your business, will make a big impact. Now, if you don't yet have my 7-step plan, I highly recommend you download it, because no matter where you are in your business, this is a framework that you can ramp things up quickly. Head over to amplifywithmelanie.com. You will get an invitation to my Facebook group. And just so you know, I am unpacking the strategies around these 7 steps in my framework each week in my Facebook group. So again, amplifywithmelanie.com is how to get your hands on the 7-step framework that's going to transform your business this year. Let's talk about your superpower. A little bit of a personal story here. I found that after 10, 12 years in business, I had, like, my superpower had gone dormant. Like, I didn't even know what my superpower was anymore. I had lost touch with it because I made some of the mistakes that I'm going to talk about throughout this series. And I want to really create a process for you to wake it back up, to recognize it, to be able to harness the power of it, because your superpower is something that literally eliminates your competition, and it gives you a special advantage in your market. You can literally have peers and competitors and even friends who do some really similar things. But when you have embraced your superpower and you know how to monetize it and amplify it, you're untouchable. There's nothing that can come close to the power and the magnetic quality that is present for you. Now, again, there's a lot of little pieces that will help you do the 3 stages we're talking about today. And the reason I break them down is you've got to do one and then the next and then the next in order to really fully amplify your authority and reach with your superpower. What is your superpower and how can it go dormant, right? Like if it's your superpower, wouldn't you know it and like live in it all the time? Well, not really. So the best way I know how to explain a superpower is if you've read Gay Hendrick's The Big Leap. Your superpower is, it's like your genius zone. Now, the distinction I find is that your superpower is really built on strengths, and oftentimes they're dormant strengths. They're things that you do really well, and you do them effortlessly, but maybe you don't recognize it, so you're not spending enough time in it. Now, and we'll unpack that a little bit more in a minute. The difference I see with the genius zone, the way Gay Hendricks explains it in The Big Leap, is your genius zone is terrifying. Because when you fully actualize it, when you fully step into it, it's something that you actually really don't know how to do, but there is something about doing your genius zone that is so impactful to you, and it's like it calls your soul forward all the time. So I think you can be in your business superpower without fully having to actualize your genius zone. But I think they're on a continuum, right? So you have strengths, you have your superpower, that's the thing that makes you unique, and then you have your genius zone, which is like the place of greatest and deepest fulfillment. So I like to concentrate on the superpower because when you wake that up, it's magic for your business, but it's not as scary as fully going into your genius zone. Now, some people might call this your secret sauce. I think it's the thing that makes you absolutely magnetic in the marketplace. And you know you're actively in your superpower because you're really magnetic. Your messaging, your branding, your offering is magnetic in the marketplace. And when you are in your superpower, your fire is lit and you feel unstoppable. Why would your superpower end up being dormant? Well, I've been in business a long time now. We're getting into 21 years here. And I have my own personal journey with this, but I think a couple things happen. First of all, I honestly believe that many of us don't ever clearly understand the value of our unique superpower. And maybe that's conditioning or mindset or limiting beliefs and not really understanding your value. I have to say about 60% of the work I do when I'm coaching members of Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle is truly helping them really claim and activate and monetize their superpower because it's dormant for them, because they've never really thought about what is it that people want from me? What is it I do so naturally that it makes me like compelling to someone else? And so you just don't realize there is value in your superpowers. The second thing I think that happens is you start to build your business around what we think or what you think people want from you, instead of what your superpower is. And this is very common. And part of it is because we see an enormous amount of noise out in the world in the marketing and the selling of coaching programs and teaching people how to build a business. And you will be told a lot what will make money. Now, the key is here when we get into part 2 and we talk about monetizing your superpower is there is an intersection between what the market wants and what your superpower is. But if you skip what your superpower is and you go right to what your market wants from you, you will find yourself in burnout and really resenting your business. And this is a common trap as you build your business around what you think people want and what you think you can sell. Okay, so that's the third one, is you have built a business around what sells, even if it's not your passion. So this was my quandary. This was my really painful, very valuable lesson on this planet, was to recognize that if I start moving my business out of my superpower and into what sells or what I think people want from you or me, what I've done is I've destroyed my magic. You destroy your magic. And I had a very painful lesson around that about 2008, 2009. As I was growing rapidly, I started to move into what the market was responding to and leaning on other people in my business and their superpowers instead of holding mine in a place of value and focus. And so I got caught up in a train that was going really fast because it was making great money and I was loving the clients, I was loving the growth, but I wasn't loving the work. And so a bunch of things pivoted, which you've probably heard me tell that story many times. I won't get into it here. But the learning was I lost the thread of my superpower and I didn't have the magic, I didn't have the passion, I didn't have the fire, and I kind of didn't like my business anymore. So instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, there was a really beautiful opportunity for me to recalibrate. And then now I can teach what I've learned is really learning to recognize the superpower and how to build the business so that it's really profitable in my superpower. Now, one of the signs that you are not in your superpower is you're exhausted or not attracting great clients, or you find that you get very, like, let's just say you get bored with your work. Okay, so you get bored with something and you're leaping to something else. That's typically a sign you haven't fully activated your superpower and you're kind of playing on a safe surface and maybe kind of falling into what we think people want from us or what will sell, or not realizing the value instead of really dropping into it. Now, a business that is built around your superpower, here are some of the signs that you are there. It feels effortless. Now, I don't mean you will not work, because we will. You will always work in your business. There will always be things we have to do because they grow the business that we don't love, but we do them because it gets the business forward, or it moves the business forward. But when you build your business around your superpower and you allow the amplification to pull you to a place that you can spend 80% of your time in your superpower, then it starts to feel effortless. Second, it gives you fuel because you feel inspired. You feel like you're unstoppable. Like there's this energy that you cannot replicate any other way, because you know if you're going to get to do that today, that is the most magical thing you can do. I love my clients so much. I love when I get to help them activate their superpower, monetize their superpower, and amplify it in the world, because that means I am getting them seen. I am getting them paid well. I am getting them out of that head trash that holds them back, and I am getting them on a trajectory where they're making a greater impact in the world. And that is why I do what I do. And that when I am in my superpower, that's what's happening. So part of being in your superpower makes you magnetic and irresistible for two reasons. One, your offerings have a unique quality, but two, you're spending time in activities that make you happy and lift you up and give you fuel and energy, right? So that is very sexy and very alluring to your potential clients. Next, as number 4, is when you have built a business around your superpower, it is easier for you to establish that positioning as the go-to authority. And then 5th is going to make all your offerings easier to sell, because there is a momentum that kicks off and a momentum that you move into where there's like a steady stream of great clients, because everything's built around the energy that makes you unique. And when you learn how to monetize it, which we're going to do in episode 2 of this series, then you'll know how to position it in a way that's really sexy. And then last, this whole process, when you've really built it around your superpower and you get into the monetization and amplification, you can easily have a range of 4, 5, and 6-figure packages that are really easy to sell. And like you're solving a problem that people really understand the value of, and they know you're the one they want to work with. It's so much easier to sell these bigger ticket offerings and trust and know that you're delivering massive value. And we're going to unpack that more in the next episode of this series. Now, what is it not? Okay, so there are some things you have to recognize about your superpower. When you spend time doing things that leave you drained and unfulfilled, not your superpower. That doesn't mean you won't have to do some things to build your business. that don't feel great at times. Like I do things I don't love, but I do them because they get results and I know it's going to lead me. This is the key. It's going to lead me to spend more time in my superpower. It's almost like sometimes we have to run a sprint to get past some of the things that don't feel so great to get into more of my superpower. An example, I don't love hiring people. I really don't. That might surprise you, especially if you've known me for a while, because you know I've taught Build Your Dream Team for many years. I don't love doing it, and as a matter of fact, it drains me. But I know if I need to hire somebody, it's because it's time to free me up so I can do more of the things that are in my superpower and they can do the things that are in their superpower and we get to serve more people together. So there is a push to get through something and I have systems and strategies to follow that help me do a better job of it, but it gets me to where I want to go. Second example in my business, I don't love doing video. Surprised? Maybe, but I do a lot of video because I know it is a way that allows me to connect with people who need to experience me in that platform in order to decide we're going to work together. So sometimes we do things and we have to figure out how to tap into our superpower. So I tap into my messaging or my speaking energy on video to help me get past the uncomfortableness or the parts that I don't enjoy so much. Okay, so that's one thing. Secondly, a sign that you're not in your superpower or that it's not really designed around your superpower is you've created a lot of offerings and many of them are attracting clients that you don't enjoy, can't afford you, or are not ideal clients. And you're spending a lot of time in sales conversations that aren't going anywhere. So that's another sign because something is off in the Amplify or in the positioning that your brand and your offerings are not really around your superpower. And then last, you are spending way too much time doing things you have to do, and you are not delegating enough of the things that are not your superpower so you can spend more time in your superpower. This is absolutely one of the biggest things I counsel my coaching clients on is they're like, I don't have time to do A, B, and C, which is what I really want to do. Well, you got to be willing to delegate, delete, or defer. Okay, so that's a team building conversation. Not getting into that today, but you get the point. I thought I would leave you today with some of the questions that I take my clients through when I am coaching somebody through a VIP package or someone's going through this module in Amplify Your Authority, Inner Circle, because I want you to really start to recognize if you're in your superpower so you can benefit from the next 2 episodes. And if you don't know your superpower, today is the day you absolutely need to sign up for and start Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle. You cannot afford to spend another day struggling with this. Even if it feels like a little bit of a reach, and I'll give you a little hint, you're going to want to sign up today because the price is going up on Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle, so don't wait, okay? Just a little hint because I love you and I want you to be successful with this, right? So here are 3 questions that'll help you kickstart this. There's a series of questions in the module in Amplify Your Authority, but let's start with 3 questions. What do I love doing the most that gives me energy in my work? Okay, it gives me energy. Like I could do it all day long and I wouldn't even know what time it is. Like I get lost in this exercise or this activity or this part of my business. Okay, that's one of your clues. So do this as if you're journaling. And if you're in Amplify Your Authority Facebook group, the free group, I'm actually going to give you these as little journal prompts to do this month. So watch for it. Now, the second one is a fun exploration, and it's going back to when you're a child. What are some of the innate or quirky things you did that are a clue to what your genius is today? I'll give you one of mine, and this might make you laugh, but it's a great example. When I was 7 years old, I was so lit up by organizing my childhood friends into all kinds of crazy shenanigans like bake sales, or I would put on these Jerry Lewis carnival telethon or carnivals that were part of his telethon to raise money. I don't know if you remember those. I might be dating myself with that statement. I was always trying to organize other people to accomplish a goal that would make a difference in the world. Talk about my superpower. I have always been building teams. I have always been trying to initiate people into a movement to come together for a common goal. I'm a big collaborator, so this is a huge part of my superpower. And I let it be dormant for a really long time. Okay, so that's number 2. What is an innate or quirky strength or something you did naturally as a child in play that's a clue to where your superpower is? And then third, what do people ask me to teach them or show them that seems so crazy to me they don't know how to do? Okay, this one may be hard to access, but if you think about, my sister's always asking me to show me how to do this, or my clients, even though I'm selling them this other package, they're always asking me, hey, can you help me figure out this thing over here? Don't dismiss the power of that, because they're telling you what they see in you that's valuable that maybe you haven't accepted as an opportunity. I was working with a woman several years ago who she was doing something in her work, and she didn't realize that the opposite of it was going to be where the big traction was. So she was somebody that helped her client book guests on his show. And I said, if you could actually help people get booked on other people's podcasts, that's $1 million business. She's like, oh, I don't know. I kind of like what I'm doing right now. Okay, well, guess what? Today, I don't think she took my advice, to be honest with you. I think someone else told her the advice, and then someone else told her the advice, and she finally went, maybe I should listen. She is one of the biggest podcast booking companies in our industry right now. So sometimes you gotta get that advice several times before you're ready to hear it. But I'll tell you, when people say, maybe you should think about this because this is something I would value, and it's in your realm, that's probably a superpower. Okay, so those are 3 questions to help you access it. Now, I'll be dropping part 2, monetize your superpower, next week. So watch for it, hitting the airwaves. I'd really love to hear what you do. You know your superpower? Tell me about it. Let's drop it into the conversation. If you're in my free Facebook group, Amplify Your Authority, come over on Thursday and tell us what your superpower is. I want to hear about it. And as you work this process, I want to remind you that this may take some time to unearth this new level of clarity, especially if you have a successful business that has been based on other skills, or you're newer and you're still learning who you are and how all this stuff fits together. Okay, so don't give up. Work the process. Do get a coach, or as I mentioned before, today's the day to join me in Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle, where I'm going to walk you through all these steps to transform your superpower into a monetizable offering and a business you love. All right, we'll see you next week for part 2. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. Be sure to join us right now in the Amplify Your Authority community at authorityamplifiers.com, and I'll share my 7 proven tips to be a highly paid expert that stands out in a crowded market. Plus, we're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.